Okay, so hey everyone, welcome to another Frontly webinar. Thanks so much to everyone for coming out. We're super excited to be here and looking forward to demonstrating how you can quickly and easily build AI-powered apps using Frontly. I'm Brian McKay, Head of Growth at Frontly, and I've got Patrick Kelly, CEO and founder, along with Justin Yan, our support lead. And today we're going to be creating an AI-powered customer portal designed to improve interactions with potential clients by collecting their information and requirements using Frontly's full screen forms. We're also going to be leveraging our Google Sheets and our open AI action to generate a custom quote, doing a bunch of cool stuff with custom variables, plus building some portal pages for both customers and admins. It's a lot to cover in under an hour, so we're going to jump right in and get started. But before we get going, I just want to remind everyone to make sure you stick around to the end of the webinar, where we're going to be giving away a Frontly unlimited lifetime license to one lucky participant on the call. You got to be on the call to win, so make sure you stick around till the end. And if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A over on the right-hand side. We'll be answering as many as we can after we finish the build, and in the chat as well during the actual build process. So like I said, we're going to be building a customer portal application. And it's really going to be, a two-sided platform. We're going to have a portal for customers. They're going to go through an onboarding funnel, provide some information for our fictional company, which in this case is going to be a web development agency. And then we're going to have an admin side where we can see and manage our customers, the quotes that are generated by the onboarding process, and just some fun data and some messaging on the back end. So before we really get into it, I'm going to start by giving everyone a little run through of what we're going to be seeing today. So the client portal, we just start with a regular user sign up. Let's start with a fun name like blah, blah, blah. And we just call it Bob at example.com. And you can click on sign up to get going. All right, so this is Frontly's full screen forms. This is an awesome feature that lets you really build like a step-by-step form flow to gather information from your customers or from anybody who's using your application. So I'm just going to start filling out this form. We'll go through step by step and we'll see how this all works. Just coming up with whatever makes sense for this. You can see we got different options for the types of data you can collect in the full screen form. How many images does the website need? How many pages? And then we got a couple of custom feature options. Let's select a few of these. All right, and when I click OK, we're going to have our OpenAI action start running in the background, which you're going to see here take a moment while the data gets sent over to ChatGPT. And it's taking the data from this form and generating a response so that when your user logs in to their portal, they're going to see an awesome little blurb from us, customized based on the data that they've just submitted. So we'll click on next, and we'll see the customer portal. Boom. So we've got the data from OpenAI here showing up. It says Bobco website development project. Dear Bob, thanks for entrusting your website project to us. We're excited to work with Bobco. And it goes through and says, hey, we understand what the vending machine offer industry is like. Here's all the stuff that we're going to work on. And here's an estimated quote with the price, the number of days, and a little follow-up. So this is the standard portal that we're going to be creating, and we created a couple menu items here where you can pop through. This is the current projects. We've got a contact form. Can't wait to see what the new website looks like. And we've got a messages block here where the user can receive messages back from the admin. And so just to demonstrate the other side of this, we're going to log out. And we'll check out the other side of the portal. And you can see here, we've got a portal that shows all the different messages that have been sent. We've got a message here from Bob. We've got all of our quotes, Bobco website development project. Let's move that over into the negotiating column of our Kanban board. We've got a dashboard showing some data based on what's been submitted, who's in the pipeline, and where they're at in the pipeline. and a list of all of our customers that we've had added so far. And so we can go in and edit these. We can message the customer back. I can say, looking forward to working with you. And that message is going to show up over on the customer portal on the other side. So yeah, as you guys can see, this is a basic two-sided customer portal, and we're going to just dive in and start building, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start off by setting up our Google Sheets. And Patrick, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how Friendly uses Google Sheets and how we kind of use that to set up the data in the back end for this application.
Sure, that sounds great. So really, anytime you're starting an app with Friendly, if you want to build, like I recommend starting by manually creating Google Sheets, because it will help you really think about how you want to structure your app. You can also use our AI generator, but we decided for this tutorial to not use the AI generator because we wanted to give you more of an understanding of how we actually set it up. So Brian's already gone through. He's already created this Google Sheet document, which has different tabs, as you can see at the bottom there. We've got like customers, quotes, contact form. These are essentially the different types of data that we're going to store. So although a lot of users probably aren't developers or database experts, you can sort of learn over time that with Google Sheets, you pretty much take each concept. So we have customers, you make that its own sheet. And if you have quotes, you make that its own sheet. And that's basically how you want to design your app. So Brian, do you want to maybe talk about kind of how this, I mean, really, we've just got a bunch of fields. We don't really need to go through everyone individually.
No. So we'll be seeing how these are going to get used as we set up the form and the pages inside of the application. But what we've got here is this quotes sheet, and this sheet is essentially capturing a whole bunch of the data from the form, which we've got up here at the front. And then we've got some formulas running inside of Google Sheets. And one of the cool things about Friendly is you get all the power of Google Sheets running on the back end, with Friendly delivering the data on the front end. So if you want to run complex formulas in the background and use that to make calculations or to update data inside the cells in Google Sheets, you can do that. And you can set up your Google Sheets to do all sorts of complicated stuff, and then only expose the data that you want your users to see on the front end on the other side. In this case, we're doing some calculations to create this quote based on the complexity, the number of pages, the number of images. And what we're doing is using something called an array formula. Some of you guys have probably used these before, but for those of you that don't know, an array formula essentially applies that formula to everything in this column. And when Friendly adds new columns, that way you always have new rows to your sheet, you always have that formula being applied. So we've got some pretty complex formulas running inside of here. And the great thing is I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer. All I did was go in ChatGPT and say, hey, I need an array formula that works in Google Sheets to do this, this, and this. So if you're scared by this or intimidated, don't be, because I was like super lost. And then boom, I just jumped into ChatGPT and was able to get the exact formula that I needed for each of these columns.
You just have to really explain clearly what you're looking for. Probably tell it the columns that you have, any relevant columns, and it'll usually do a pretty good job of generating that. We do have a little help doc on the array formulas, but honestly, I would always recommend going to ChatGPT to have it actually generated, because it's just easier.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, without going into too much detail on these, I'm going to jump back in and start creating the form and some of the pages that we're going to need for this app to get it up and running. So I'll start off by going into apps, creating a new app. And in this case, we're going to go create from scratch. And we're going to call this Awesome Co Customer Portal. Awesome Co Portal. And we're going to create that app. All right, so right now we got no pages, no forms, no data. There's nothing going on in here. So let's start off. We're going to connect our Google Sheets just so we can grab the sheets that we have set up already. The easiest way to do that, we're just going to grab the URL and we're going to go import spreadsheet, drop that in, And in a moment here, we should see all of our sheets pop up. So we can click import tabs, and boom, we've got all of our tabs added to our app. And then while we're at it, let's just jump in, and we're going to create a couple of quick pages. Before we go and add anything to them, I'm just going to drop them in. So we're going to have our client portal. Great. And let's go and create another page called our admin portal. All right, so we got 2 pages set up. The next step is going to be creating some users for the application. We're going to have 2 different user types. So we'll go into user groups under the users menu on the left-hand side, and we're going to add a couple user groups. We're going to create a company admin, and their default page is going to be the admin portal. And we're going to add a client, and their default page is going to be the client portal. And we're going to save that.
Hey, Brian, we're getting a few requests from the listeners to slow down. So instead of, I mean, we're not going to be able to go totally slow because we do have to try to get through this within an hour, but we can just touch base on some of these little things. So, just to be clear, the user groups are able to be used to essentially segment your users into these clear groups like admin and client. And then on the pages, you'll see how Brian is able to apply that to sort of ensure that page X is only visible by clients and the other page isn't visible. So just a reminder that this webinar will be available on a replay. So for anyone who wants to go back and dive way deeper, you'll be able to watch it and pause it and all of that. So we can also answer any questions at the end. So make notes if anything feels like if you're getting lost, we'll do our best to describe it.
And we're also going to make this app available as a template after the presentation, probably a few days after. We'll load this up into the platform as well, so you can jump in and play around with it and see all the settings that we have set up inside of the app as well. So just continuing on this users thing, we're going to go through and we're going to create a couple custom fields. Custom user fields, we have sort of a users database on the Frontly side. So you don't have to use Google Sheets to store your user data. Like if you have sensitive data in there and you don't want to put it into Google Sheets, we have a database on the Frontly side that stores those that you can then add custom user fields to. So in this case, we're going to add a few fields in here just to make sure we've got a few extra pieces of data that we're going to have. We're going to go and add company description. It's going to be a text field.
So maybe while Brian's doing this, I can just kind of talk about this just a little bit. So, most of your data in your app is going to be stored in your Google Sheets. But when you have users sign up and log in, the actual user is stored in our database. That's very important because we do need to be able to provide secure authentication. We can't store a password in a Google Sheet. That wouldn't be okay. And so what we're offering with the custom user fields is the ability to actually add a few more fields directly to the user that is automatically available inside the user session. So instead of having to fetch any of this data from a Google Sheet, once Brian adds the company description to the user variable on the user signup, then he'll be able to just access that at any time by typing in the user.company description variable. So it's pretty sweet. You'll see how it works later in the app.
Awesome. So I think from here, we're going to jump over and we're just going to start building our full screen form. Full screen forms are a really sort of more recent feature that I think has been an awesome game changer for Frontly, versus like your sort of standard single page, click these drop down fields and select this and that. It really, lets you have a much more user-friendly experience, a step-by-step full screen experience for users that you want to capture data from. So we'll call this intake form. Oh, if I could type correctly, there we go. And we're going to create this form. And you can see over here, we've got fields, some basic information, some access, and some actions. We can also modify the styles, and we can make some changes to the text that shows up on here. So we're going to go and add some fields, and those fields are going to represent the different pages of the full screen form. So as the user goes through this, each of those steps is going to be a different field. And so I'm going to start filling these out. And Patrick, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about full screen forms while I do that.
Sure. So, as Brian mentioned, this feature's only been live for a few months. It's essentially our answer to an app like Typeform or even Google Forms, but a little nicer looking, I think. And you can even add your logo as well to this form. If you have your navigation logo and your other logo added in your admin settings, then if you enable the logo in the Styles tab here, it'll show up. It looks really professional, and it's essentially just a totally different type of interface. So this isn't going to be relevant for all apps, but as you can see, for like a nice onboarding kind of introductory thing, or if you want to build sort of what feels like a bit of a wizard, like a walkthrough where it is these clear steps, this can be a really nice change. The forms inside the Frontly app are just much more, straight to business kind of, here are the fields, go through it. So, you can play around with it. We definitely highly recommend going through this. And as you can see, Brian is actually using the user variable in this form. So it's saying, hi, Brian, instead of, hello. So you can actually use variables from a few different places. One of them is the user variable. Because Brian already had the user sign up before they access this form, that's available. And we can also even use previous form fields in the future fields. So yeah, that's what Brian's doing right now, where it says form.company name between those brackets. That's actually going to show the company name from the previous step in this label. So you can see how it creates this kind of personalized dynamic experience that is a big difference from filling out the traditional form block inside Frontly on a page. Now, I think at this step, Brian's going to adjust the type to the options type and add a bunch of options. So, this is just kind of a classic multiple choice sort of thing. There's an option to have it be only a singular choice, or if you toggle on the allow multiple selections, then you'll be able to allow them to select like sort of a list of options. I don't think that's the case in this field, but there's where you would do it. And you can see how, if you really just take the time, you can set this up in a few minutes. And one thing to note is our AI app generator does not currently generate full screen forms. Those features were essentially being built around the same time. And so we haven't had a chance to decide to actually integrate that into our AI generator. So if you want this, you will have to build it manually, but you pretty much just have to come up with the names of your questions, and then, you can make it work. So don't be afraid. It's really easy. And you can go back and watch this video to follow along. Okay, so looks like we're getting pretty close here. We're on what is this last field? Oh,
this is the custom features. Yeah,
features. Okay, cool. So in this case, we're just collecting data from our theoretical potential client so that we can use it in this cool AI action, so that when they log in and they get to the next page, we have that AI summary that we showed in the little preview, which, you can tweak that all you want to get it to the point where your customer feels like, you have this intelligent system and you have this sophisticated, this product. So that's really what AI enables you to do beyond just, using Frontly to manage data, is you can really take things to the next level. You can show your customers that you're using modern technology, and a lot of the time you can really automate a lot of processes. So looks like we've got all the options there. And so now we're going to move on to the submit action. So this is important because in the full screen form, there's no action is triggered by default. You actually have to tell it, where you want to send that data. So maybe we can let Brian kind of talk through the specifics of kind of how this part works.
Yeah, so this is the action builder, and this lets you build different flows of actions that you want to trigger at different stages. So when you click the button or when you submit the form, you can run through a sequence of actions. And so we're going to set up some actions here that are going to help update the user, update our Google Sheets, and also run the OpenAI action that's going to generate that response in the customer portal. So we're going to start by adding a step. and you can click here and you can see the different step types that we have available. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to update the active user, and we're going to make sure that we get the right values in there. We want to make sure we capture the company description. So in order to do that, we're going to use the form variable, which refers to any data that was captured in the full screen form that we were just running through. And we're going to use the field description, or the field label. Is it the label or the description? I can't remember which one it is, Patrick. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to use form company description.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just to make sure we capture that company description. And we're going to use the form company name to make sure we capture the name of the company as well. So those were both things that we entered in that form while we were going through that process, and those are going to get added to the user's profile so that we can store it for later. And then we can just click the plus below here. We're going to add another step to this flow. We're going to add an OpenAI request. And this is where the magic really gets to start happening. So the OpenAI request lets you enter a prompt, and that prompt can contain any variable that's currently available at this stage of the automation. And that could refer to different Google Sheets, different local state variables, different user variables. Whatever you want to inject into that text, you can inject into that text as long as it's available as a variable. And then inside of here, you can select which type of API key you want to use. If you have a tier 5 AppSumo account or a Frontly Unlimited account, you can activate your own OpenAI API key and utilize GPT-4 in here as the model. And we're going to select object as the response type. And Patrick, I don't know if you want to explain a little bit more about this while I start putting the information for the prompt in here.
Sure. Yeah, this part will take a few minutes probably, so we'll try to go through it slowly. But basically, with our OpenAI request, something that is very cool is that instead of just getting a blob of text back, you can change the response type to an object, which is actually a developer term, but essentially all it means is you can define different field names in that response object fields section down there, and you can define descriptions for each field, right where Brian's pointing there. And so instead of just getting one big chunk of text back, you can actually say, oh, I want there to be a name and a description and maybe an industry or whatever you're doing. So as Brian is pasting in parts of the prompt here, as you can see, he's got some variables in there. He's using the form field responses. He's using the user variable. So this part is kind of just up to you. It's more of like an art than a science at this point, prompt engineering. I wouldn't think too much about it. Just make sure you're clear. The more clarity you have in your prompt, the better. And so now Brian's going to go through and he's going to type in these fields. This is defining exactly how the AI is going to respond. So what's really cool is that when you add that, you now know that your response isn't just going to be a blob of text. It's going to have a thank you field and a recap field. And based on what Brian is typing into the description here, these are just like basic descriptions describing in plain text, like to the AI, the thank you field is a brief thank you for the user who signs up, based on their business name.
Exactly.
Someone asked about the training examples. I don't think we're going to use that in this case, just because it takes some time. But maybe, Brian, can you just click on one and then click on that to show what it looks like in there? So as you can see, every field plus the prompt, every field that Brian added as a key to that object is now available here. And so you can go add as many examples as you want. So you'd actually type in a full prompt, and then you would type in the different fields that you want the AI to respond with. This is how you train the AI to respond accurately. And so if you do take the time to do this, even adding one example, you're going to get a higher degree of accuracy. The response are going to be more aligned with how you want it to respond. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of come up with its own style based on that. So we can get rid of that for now, just because we're not going to go into the details. And Brian, you might want to delete that training example just so we don't. So yeah,
Okay.
that's the OpenAI action. Just remember, everyone, you'll be able to install this app as a template, so you'll be able to come back in and spend all the time you want doing that. So we're just going to move on to the next step. So just to recap, we're updating the user based on their description and their company name. Then we're going to run this OpenAI action. So we're going to get back that response that Brian defined. And now we're basically just going to add that data to a spreadsheet. So yeah, in this case, we're going to add this customer to the client to this customer sheet.
Actually, let's do the quotes one first here, just because.
Sure.
So create
Okay.
that. Yeah. And this, if you don't want these success notifications popping up when you're running through these actions, especially in the full screen forms, I recommend just turning off the success notification. Otherwise, if you have a whole bunch of actions running, you're going to have a bunch of notifications popping up down in the corner. So in this case, we want to make sure that we're referencing the user ID as much, linking the user ID and the customer ID together in this sheet. This is all going to be added into a new row in the spreadsheet, the quote spreadsheet. And then we're going to go in and add the data from our form into this sheet. Now I know how Justin felt last time when he was building the app. I'm like, okay, just stay focused and calm. You got 30 minutes. Finish building everything as fast as possible.
You got this. You're doing great.
We're going to make sure that's set to lead. So these fields we're leaving empty because, as we were mentioning before, we've got some calculations happening inside the Google Sheets side. So we don't want to write anything to these fields because that's all being calculated inside of the Google Sheets using that array formula in the columns associated with this information. Now here, these intake fields, these are the ones that are going to be pulling in the data from the OpenAI response. And so we're going to use the action steps variable, which can be used to refer to any step earlier in the action sequence. So in this case, it's going to be step 2.
Maybe you should show them how to use the injector just so that they can see how that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, yeah. So if you click on that little button on the side of a field, you'll be able to see what variables are available. And this one is called previous step. And then when you click on that, you can see you have your list of steps. So in this case, it's step 2. And then you just have to type in the name of the field you created. So Brian's probably now can just copy and paste that just so that he can kind of rip through. But you can usually use that variable injector field just to sort of set things up. And then probably you want to start copying and pasting to save yourself time.
And I think that was just title. Yeah.
So that's something important with Frontly is like, because the actions go in a sequence, you can access the response of the previous action in the next step. That's also the case for the Google Sheet action as well. So is that basically all you needed for that one? And then
that's that one. And then we got one more Google Sheet that we got to set up here for the customer spreadsheet. We're going to disable that notification again. And this time we're using the edit function rather than the create function because we want to just update the existing sheet that's in there. And so we want to capture this information and make sure that it's all written into this customer sheet because we're going to be displaying that on the admin side. So in this case, the row ID, I can't remember if this is relevant or not for this one. So I'm going to just quickly check and make sure. 1 second here. Oh, this should be a create. Sorry, never mind. This is because this is the first time we're creating them. Right, so we're creating this user for the first time in the user spreadsheet. We're not editing them. And that can get a little confusing because we have a user spreadsheet and we also have the user's database on the Frontly side. And so right now, if you want to access data in like a table on one of your blocks in Frontly, you need to have a spreadsheet with that data exposed. And so that could just be like name, email address, and notes or a description or the company name. And you can keep all the sensitive data stored, like the password, inside of Frontly's database. So let me just.
And this is only the case for if you have like an admin side of your app where you want to show a whole list of all the users that have signed up. A lot of apps don't necessarily need that because you probably only want your users to see their own data. But in this case, because it's a two-sided portal, one of the sides is the admin. We want to be able to have this list of all the clients that the admin can check out. So again, we're using this variable injector here to just kind of quickly inject variables based on the fields that we've added. So Brian added a company description and company name field, and now we have those as options.
Awesome. And we're going to create a little note on here that says user signed up on, and we're just going to grab the date from today. There we go. Okay. Oh, and we're just going to throw one more thing in here, just a little local state update. When the user lands on their page, because we're going to have some toggles between different viewports or different page views inside of the page, we want to make sure using some visibility toggles that they're seeing this data that we created from this OpenAI action as soon as they land on the page. So we're going to create a local state value called client view, and we're going to call this current. There we go. All right, so now we've got our 5-step action that occurs right when they finish the submission of the form. Click save to make sure we don't lose our work. And then the last step is we want the complete button to just take them to this page. So we're going to go navigate to page, and we're going to select the client portal. Not going to do anything else here. We're not going to add any URL parameters at this time. And that should be that. So we now have our form. This will run through when users log in. One thing we're going to set up is their first page that they see when they log in. So on users, we're going to go sign up settings. We're jumping around pretty quick here, I know, but we're going to jump back to sign up settings. And we're now going to make sure that when someone signs up for your app, that their default user group is client, and that we send them to the right page. So now, Patrick, is that something we would do with the action, or is there somewhere else that we would set that initial page for them to land?
In this case, I think because it's the full screen form, we might want to do that, or maybe in the we could just double check in the default page if the form appears there. So in that settings page that we were just on,
yeah,
right there in the default page. So yeah, it doesn't look like the full screen form is not available there because it's not technically a page. We can probably get that added there, but for now, we just basically make sure that the sign up action on the user's settings navigates you to the form. So you should have the option right there. Yeah, so we'll probably just have to do something like that for the default page. But now we've configured it so when the user goes to that sign up page, they type in their information, they actually get an account created in this app, and then they're taken to the full screen form. So then once they're going through that, we already know who they are, we already have their user data, and we can move on from there.
Awesome. So one other thing that we need to do in here, in order to reference the data from this newly created quote in the client portal, we're going to have to create a custom variable to do this. And so we're going to jump over into the settings menu and go down about halfway here. There's a menu item called custom variables. And we're going to go ahead and add this variable so that we can refer to their current quote that they have active in our system. So Patrick, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about custom variables.
Yeah. So custom variables might sound a bit scary and confusing, but because there's a few options in here, but it's actually really, really simple. So all we want to do is we want to basically get access to the value of one row in a Google Sheet somewhere. And normally you don't have to do a custom variable because the blocks like a form or the table will show your data. But what Brian wants is he wants access to a specific row just somewhere, like in a text block or wherever he wants. And so all we do is we choose that get value from record option at the top, and we select the spreadsheet that we want to grab it from, which is the quotes. And now Brian's going to create a condition. And so essentially what we're looking for is it's going to return the first row that matches this condition. And in this case, we're trying to match the customer ID field in that column with a custom value, which in this case is going to be the user.id variable. So when Brian creates the quote, when that record is being created in that form submission action, he's also injecting the user ID into the customer ID field. And that's how we're able to connect these together. Might seem a little bit complicated, but it allows us to gain access whenever we want to the first quote in the sheets that matches that condition. So it's essentially our active quote variable, and you'll see how it's used in this page.
Should I do a quick demo here where we run through the form so we generate that first row of data? I think that's or should we just...
yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I think for the sake of like maybe the preview or something, that could be useful.
All right. So this is our first customer sign up. Greg Smith. All right, so when we click sign up, oh, it did not work. So let's check and see what happened here.
Okay, so we've got our sign up settings, configure sign up action.
Oh, there we go. Disable page. That's, I forgot to turn this guy on.
Right. So yeah, if you don't disable the default page setting, then it will overwrite your sign up action if there's a navigate step in it. Do you want to just double check that? Okay, yeah. So we have that step.
So that should be fun. There. Yeah.
That's the real fun of these webinars, is showing you that troubleshooting is a very normal part of building apps. And take it from me. So, all right, yeah, we're just going to try this again. So we're just testing the sign up flow here to make sure that it does send the user to the full screen form. And I guess we're going to actually run through the full screen form and make sure that it's correctly using AI and all that. So we've got Greg Co. We build airplanes, hopefully better than Boeing does. And yeah, we're just going to go through here. And all right, so cool. Let's just see if this works.
Okay, so we got to make sure that multi-select is on for that one.
Yeah, we do need. Yeah, we do need the multi-select here. But let's just go with it and see what happens here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. We're processing the submission now.
Awesome. And that little timer there, that's, you are at the whim of OpenAI when it comes to that, determining how fast they respond with what you're requesting.
This is a great time to mention the difference between GTP 3.5 and 4. So we're using 3.5 right now in this demo, and it was actually pretty fast. The quality of the response may be lower, will be lower, essentially. So let's check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, looks like it totally worked. You can see it generated a bunch of data. All the intake values, I think, are where the AI is coming from, right? Intake and project title and stuff. So we can visualize this in the app now, but in order for it to be easy for us to build the app, we need at least one row of data in here. Otherwise, we won't be able to like properly preview it or anything like that. So, so maybe now actually, if you can go into your Google Sheets page and hit that refresh data, we can show people how to do that too, just so they know. If you've made changes in your Google Sheet and you just want to force it to be updated in the Frontly admin, you can just hit refresh data and headers there, and it just guarantees that you're going to have that data updated. You don't need to do this for the live app, but for the building process, you probably want to. So
one note I'm going to make here too is if you change the name of your tab for some reason, in order for that to show up in here, you're going to have to unlink that sheet and reconnect that spreadsheet. And all that's going to do is ask you to re-add the tab that's been changed. But you will have to go back and relink that to any blocks that are using that sheet inside of your app.
So we don't recommend changing your tab name after you've imported it, but
try to get them nailed down. Yeah,
it actually shouldn't break, but like Brian said, we have a way of updating it behind the scenes, but the actual name won't visually change in the Frontly dashboard. All right, so what page are we working on now?
We're on the client portal now.
Okay, so this is the page that the client is going to see. when they've done the AI step, it gets added to the sheet, and now they're going to pop in here. So Brian's just going to go through. He's using that user variable to welcome the user based on what they've typed in when they signed up. Now, there's a few steps here. So the rich text block allows you to actually add formatted text, whereas the plain text block is just like you can make it larger and stuff like and colored and stuff like that, but it's just one blob of text. Nice. So Brian's just pasted this in. Just we're saving time here. We don't want to bore you by manually typing every single thing.
And making typos everywhere, which is what usually happens.
Yeah, the typos will kill us. So you can see here, this is important because we went through that step to make that custom variable, which we named active quote. And so you can see to use that variable, it's custom.activeQuote dot the name of any spreadsheet column in that spreadsheet, and it will show the values there. So probably my guess is that most users of Frontly still haven't used the active or the custom variables. And I think if you get to know how they work, you'll probably find they're pretty useful. So
Awesome.
this is great. Do you have that client portal page still open, Brian? We could probably even just reload it, or you're logged in as an admin maybe. Never mind.
Yeah, here, hang on. Let me log back in to this page. Let's actually just do this. We'll just go here. Oh, God, I remember the name of my user now that I just created. Let's go to users. Where was he? Greg Man. Here we go. Greg222 at example.com.
So it is, nice along the way while you're building your app to just kind of go through, make sure things are working as you expect. So this is great. We've got welcome Greg. It's got his development project and our AI generated script. It's actually not so bad for using 3.5. It did a pretty good job here. The quality of your prompt also affects the the nature of the output. So those training examples will be a big bridge for you if you don't want to use GTP4. Giving it one or two training examples should really help get better responses.
Now we'll see here that both these pages are visible, and we don't want this page to be visible, the admin portal. So one of the things we're going to do right away here is we're going to go into our page, and in admin portal, you're going to have some. It's under advanced settings or basic settings here.
Just right there at the bottom, in the access settings.
Yeah, so this user groups, if you've preset your user groups, which we have, you can click this little key and you can turn this off so that clients can't see this page. And so now when I go and refresh this after I save, you can see that only the client portal is available up here at the top of the page.
Yeah, that's a big part of building like a multi-sided app, which I imagine a lot of apps are. You have different types of users. Doesn't even have to be something as clear as like admin and client, right? It could be like superstar clients can only see page one, and you can really segment it however you want.
Oh yeah, and you can create all sorts of display conditions and stuff too, based on you can get really crazy with this in a hurry. If you go crazy with all of your different variables and stuff, you can end up with something really cool. I recommend taking notes and keeping track of what you're using where and for what purposes. It'll really help you in the development process if you've got a really good little sort of companion doc going as you build this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself jumping around trying to remember what you wrote down as a variable name and copying and pasting it. And if something doesn't work, check your spelling. Check your spelling on everything. Everything in here is case sensitive, and if you've got one letter out of place in your variable, it won't work. Just like regular programming, you need to make sure you're keeping track of those titles of your variables as you work on it. So let's do this. I want to just skip ahead over to the admin side because I know we're going to run tight on time here, and we can kind of keep building after the fact if anyone wants to stick around for a little bit. But let's jump over to the admin page for a second here. And we're going to go and we're going to create the same sort of thing, but for the admin side. And let's start by adding a Kanban board. And we're going to connect that to the quotes. And you're going to see it's going to just grab whatever fields it thinks might work. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and customize this. We want the column field in this case to be quote status, so that we can move the status of this quote through. Once we've received it, we want to be able to move it through the different stages of our pipeline on the admin side. So because we only have one in there right now, we got to create our other columns in this Kanban board. So we'll just go ahead and add a few different stages. We'll call this label negotiating. And the value here is what's going to be written inside of that cell when we move the card from one stage to the next. Or if there's a card with this data already in it, it will preload into this column. So in this case, we'll set this to exactly the same thing, but you can make this whatever you want, and you can change the color. We can make this blue if we want, like that. And then our Kanban card, we're going to remove the images because we just don't want an image in this, I think. And let's just go and use some of our AI generated content here. We're going to go and use the project title. We can style that a little bit different. So we can call it heading medium. Sure. And then let's add the next piece of data we want to see in here, which will be our. Now I meant to change the title of this. It still says pricing on it, but that was actually the data that we generated, which was the internal field. If you remember from our OpenAI action, I asked it to write an internal description for our project as well. And we can bump up the character limit if we want to see what this project is all about. So OpenAI generated this response that says this project involves developing a website for Gregco, a company that builds airplanes for monkeys. The website has 8 pages, 6 custom images, and a CMS feature. So this is all pulled via that OpenAI action. And then we're going to add some badges. We've got our requirements. And so we can split those. If we had multiple requirements, those would then split into multiple badges along the bottom of the page. So if we were to add more of these, you would see them, and we can add a filter as well to this if we want. So we could add a visible filter, which is just over here on the top under filters, new visible filter, and we could say requirements, and we can filter that by site requirements, and we can select multi-select. Actually, we want select drop down. There we go.
I think that's pretty much all you have to do for that one. And then when we have more requirements options it's populated from the actual data. So it'll basically fill out as there are more things in there.
So now we've got the other side of the portal. We've got the admin side. I think we're going to run up on time here pretty quick. We wanted to show sort of a messaging filter and that a feature and some other tools that we showed in the demo. But why don't we jump ahead and just do some Q&A for a bit, and then if anyone wants to stick around, we can keep kind of building afterwards. We can do the draw for the Friendly Unlimited account as well before we run out of the hour. How does that sound, Patrick?
Yeah, that sounds great. And on that note, I'm going to go spend a minute finding my my Frontly webinar prize winner app that I built, because I forgot about that until now. So we're going to have to nuke that data and send out a new form here. So yeah, I'm just going to go check.
Awesome. Oh, Wayne says he's feeling lucky today. Let's hope that Lady Luck rains down on you. Christoph, I love what you're saying there. I actually ran into that as I was building this. The actions on page load would be really great. That's definitely something that would be cool to have. We've got a laundry list of requests in the pipeline, and so we're always trying to work on adding the things that are going to add the most value for you guys when you're building the apps. Justin, were there any big questions you wanted to call out for us to jump on here?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that were asking specifically about AI token usage and how it, what sort of actions in Frontly constitute a usage of an AI token. If Patrick, you wanted to speak specifically on that, I'm aware that we currently use it for our AI app generation tool, as well as any OpenAI request action. But I think more people are wondering. Yeah, go for it.
I'm happy to chat a bit about this. I admit it's a little bit confusing. When we set up this AppSumo launch, we have to agree on like certain tier limits. And so what the ones we decided on are based on, our data from a few months ago. As some of you might have seen, we just recently made an announcement maybe about 2 weeks ago around increasing the limit for people who've added their OpenAI key. Now, this is a big point of confusion, and I want to talk about it. So if you don't add an OpenAI key to your Frontly app, then you are limited to the AI tokens, that are on your plan. And if you do add your own OpenAI key, then you still have a token limit, but your token limit is increased by 10x. Now, a lot of users may be confused about why there's still a token limit if you add your own key. Now, I have two answers for this. One, we only launched our new AI system a few months ago with the AI action. And because we're selling a lot of these lifetime deals, we have to be careful, especially offering unlimited of something. OpenAI requests are actually very taxing on the server. And so even though they're running through your account, they still actually kind of bog down the system. And if we have thousands of users running unlimited AI actions all at the same time, it could get pretty wild. Now, that said, we are analyzing the data, and I think we're seeing that it's not as bad as we thought. We were just kind of worried because we knew doing this big launch, we get thousands of new signups during these launches. And so we just have to make sure the system is stable for everyone. We just did a big increase last week, but I think probably in the next couple of weeks, once our campaign is over, we're going to be able to bump those limits a lot. And at some point, we might even be able to offer unlimited. But essentially what I tell people right now is if you're on our tier 5 plan and you already have the 500 tokens and you've added your OpenAI key, if you get close to your limit, just message us and we'll probably be able to help bump it up for you. We just can't do that for everyone by default because we do want to still kind of understand how it's going in the system. We want to make sure that it's not getting overloaded. But if your personal use case, like if your use case is actually getting you close to that limit and you're getting, messed up by that, just let us know. We can probably figure something out. So just reach out to us. We're friendly. We'll try to help. And we're going to keep trying to increase these limits and stuff over time as much as possible. So I hope that answers people's questions for now about the OpenAI. And I think we're at a point where what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the link to our webinar prize entry. So this is going to go in the conversation thread right now. And so here's the link right here. And if you go to that, you can enter your, I think it's the name and email, and you're going to be added to our webinar prize submission. And then I will pull up my Frontly webinar prize app that I built, which allows us to get a random winner, totally randomly generated using Google Sheet formulas with numbers assigned randomly to the people who enter their names. So we're going to probably take a couple minutes just to let people type it in. I see entries flying in here. So maybe Justin or anyone else, did you see if there were any other questions that were sort of pertinent to answer while we're waiting here?
For sure.
I'd like to talk about GDPR compliance. So this is something that's come up a lot lately, especially from European users. So we understand, we're based in Canada. We have a lot of American users, and we have a lot of users from all around the world, as you've seen if you read the start of this chat thread. So of course, there are a lot of different privacy rules. We're not doing anything weird with your data. We just recently updated the privacy policy to try to be more sort of compliant and try to make it clear that you can request for your data to be deleted. We try to be transparent about where the data is being stored, what systems we're storing it in, and why. So we're trying to make these steps toward compliance. As a small startup, we just have to be mindful that like making official claims that we're definitely compliant if we're not 100% sure is scary, because we want to make sure we're not lying. We want to be certain. We are actively looking into this stuff, and we appreciate that there are a lot of users from around the world who are looking for different types of compliances, and so we're trying to make sure we really understand what that is, what that means, and we will be making updates hopefully in the next couple weeks with some bigger steps to confirm that we've met those compliance rules. So
I wanted to just jump on one of the questions here too from Linda. She was asking about, is there a way to set up an app and charge people to use her app? And Patrick, I don't know if you wanted to just quickly talk about our Make integrations and our ability to use Stripe and webhooks.
Yeah, we actually had one or two other questions about that in the chat as well, so it's worth talking about. Basically, we don't have a built-in Stripe integration, but I've personally tested it using a combination of a Make automation, or you could use Zapier, or probably, I imagine all the major workflow automation platforms have Stripe as an automation trigger. So essentially what you do is you can check out Stripe's no-code options, which one of them is called payment links, and one of them is even called I think it's called like the customer portal or something, where they can go in and manage their subscription. So it's very cool. It allows you to basically send a user to a link. They can go make a payment, and then what you can do is through the automation platform, you can make sure that when a new payment is coming in, it sends information into a specific spreadsheet, and then you can use that data in your Frontly app using the display conditions or the custom variables that we were showing you to essentially figure out if there's a payment record in that sheet that matches this user. This is kind of a complex topic because there are a lot of different ways you can do this, but we don't have it built in. You can definitely do it. We've seen some people do it, so you just have to experiment, and you will need some kind of automation platform to finalize that.
And so, maybe we'll put that on the list for new videos for us to create. We'll do a demo where we set up a Stripe integration and get the payments.
Yeah, I think we could do that. Now, I want to be mindful of time here because we're already a couple minutes over the hour. So let's get our winner. I don't really see any other ones flowing in here. So we've got only 30 contestants here, let's call it. So pretty good odds here, everybody. This is much better odds than winning a lottery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my app, and I will display it on the screen here. So this is kind of exciting. I haven't tested this since last week, but I'm just going to assume that this is going to work. Yeah, let me see here.
And someone was asking about making the Frontly randomized prize draw available as well. So we'll throw that in as a template at some point.
Yeah, that is something that I should probably. Okay, so I have about 50 screens open right now. So all right, how do I share my screen in this?
There's a little laptop with an arrow in the middle there next to the. Yeah.
There we go. Share screen. Okay. So, all right. Hopefully, can you guys see this? The Frontly app?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're good.
All right. So to conserve, the privacy of the entries, I'm not going to show the Google spreadsheet, but essentially it's a spreadsheet that had an array formula that randomly generated a number for every entry, and we're randomly picking. I think it's the highest number, which doesn't matter if you entered it at the start or the end. It's totally random. And so when I click this reveal contest winner, all we're doing is just revealing the custom variable that picked the highest one. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. Boom. We've got Mike San Miguel. He is the contest winner. Congratulations. So we will be in touch. We have your contact information. Thank you for entering.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. So I mean, we're over time right now. Anyone that wants to hang out, I mean, we can just kind of answer some more questions. I don't know if anyone wants to watch us try and build more stuff right now, but we can definitely do. I think this one, what I'd love us to do, and I think we should do this, is probably just publish like the full app build process for these, as a companion to the webinars, because we don't always get the chance to go through the whole thing in the webinar, especially as we dive into certain topics. So I think for this one, we'll jump in and make ourselves a longer format video so you guys can kind of follow along and build the app yourselves. I'm going to paste the link here. I don't know what I'm doing. This is crazy. I'm going to paste the link to the client portal if you guys want to try the onboarding flow. That's
no promises.
That's the link. You just got to go click at the bottom to sign up and fill the sign up flow if you feel like it. And you should be able to see at least the client side. I won't give you guys the admin login for the other side. But that'll let you, if you click that link, you can go through and play with it. And like we said, we are going to share these templates with you. So, give us a couple days here and we'll be sharing it. You'll see an email come through with the template available inside of your Frontly app so you can play with it and modify it and do whatever you want.
Where did you paste that link?
I just dropped here. I'll drop it in takeaways here too.
It disappeared so fast. We just got so many exciting, excited users here. So yeah, just to be clear as well, we are going to make this app that we just built available as a template in the next couple days. We'll fire an email blast out about it. You won't miss it, and it will appear in the app. So just to be clear, if you want to find the templates in Frontly's admin, you just have to go to your apps section and click the new app button. So, yeah, you know what, Paul, great point. Tomorrow is the last day of our AppSumo promotion, and we've done a few launches. To be honest, I think this is it. So don't hold out. Frontly is going to have to start charging exclusively monthly subscriptions here pretty soon, and so I think if you're an AppSumo Plus member, you'll get access for 3 more days after this ends. And if you're not an AppSumo Plus member, then tomorrow, I think, is your last day. I think there's only about 30 hours left of the available campaign. So yeah, get on that if you can. We appreciate it. And so someone asked about the legacy version of Frontly. So we did have an old version of Frontly, which was in our 2022 launch, the freebie launch. It's essentially just a continuation of the platform. Like I pretty much rebuilt the whole platform from scratch after learning how to make it better. And then we named it Frontly.ai because that's when we started integrating our AI capabilities. If you had a paid account on the old platform, then we transfer it right over. If you had a freebie code from the first campaign, then we are able to transfer that over, and it will just sort of be the equivalent of what you had. So we'll definitely get you something, and just make sure you go sign up before, message us if you have an old code and you haven't signed up for the new platform yet, but make sure you go sign up at app.frontly.ai/signup so that we can help you. And yeah, tier 1, it's so cheap. It's like $50, $59 for a lifetime deal. It's honestly pretty insane. Go look at Softer or our competitors. They're charging probably $50 a month. So yeah, I think, for a lot of people, it's a pretty amazing deal, and it's not going to be like that forever. In fact, only about 30 more hours. So thanks for joining. This has been incredible, and probably just, watch out for our replay. And if anyone has any questions that aren't answered, because, we've got 70 people here asking questions, we appreciate it. Just, send us a message. We're always happy to chat, or join the Discord. That's a big one. Did we already post a link to the Discord? Yeah, it's in the takeaways. So anyone that hasn't joined our Discord community, it's wild in there. It's like being in a party. You're like one of the cool kids. So,
and thus is the DJ of that party.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Great. So, thanks everyone for joining. This has been awesome. We really appreciate the enthusiasm here. So we hope you appreciated it and learned a couple things. And yeah.
Should we stick around for some questions, Patrick? Like another few minutes?
Yeah, we can do a couple more minutes. So
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I think we probably won't do more app build for now, just because I think we've kind of gone through
we'll just answer some questions, and we can go through and provide more details on the app in the next email that comes out.
Sounds good. I got one question from Susie. Susie, I don't know if you're still in the call now, but she asked, is there some sort of an email that can be automatically sent out to the client who is the new sign up of your app, Brian? that they have to go and click the link to verify that they've sent out, so they've signed up, and that their
like a
email is valid.
verification loop, like an
Mhm.
authentication verification
Yeah.
loop for new users sign up.
So we don't have like a verify your email built in. It is actually something that's on my list of things to do. So hopefully in the next like month or so. But if you want to set that up, you can kind of just set it up like how we showed with either user groups or using display conditions maybe is an even better option. So you could create a custom user field called verified, and then you could have it so that when a user signs up, they have to go through some kind of process. You can send an email. I'm just trying to think in real time here how you could do it, but you can definitely make sure that a certain field equals a certain value before they can access different pages. So I would suggest maybe thinking about that and how you might use that in your flow. You could have it be where you manually verify users as well, depending on how sort of private your data is. If you don't want people to sign up as well, you can just disable sign up, and then you can allow only users to be created in the admin. That's another big thing. If you're building an internal portal, you probably just don't want sign up as an option. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. And yeah, there is a send email action which you can trigger, just like how we were triggering the other ones.
Here's
someone
a
else is asking
one.
about.
Oh, sorry, go for it, Patrick.
Someone else is asking. Vivian is asking about AI tokens. So ChatGPT action. Yeah. So AI tokens are used both by the AI app generator and the AI request action. And so, like I was saying earlier, we're still kind of assessing all that. We are going to be probably increasing the token limits periodically, especially as we see usage going up. I would say like no one that I know of who's on tier 5 has actually hit their limit yet. So I think I would just suggest not worrying about it too much at this moment. If you think your app's going to be really scaling in usage, then that's great. Reach out to us, and we're happy to chat. We want to support you, but these limits right now are just in place because we want to make sure that no one bombs the system with with AI requests. So just reach out if you need any assistance. Yeah, I mean, Justin, did you have one that you were?
Oh, I was gonna drop a philosophical one from Momo here. What is the vision for Frontly?
That's a great question. I think what we showed today is one of many examples of how you can use Frontly to build custom software for your business. It goes in so many different directions depending on what you need, but our goal is to keep things as simple as possible and to make it as powerful as possible, which is obviously a pretty difficult challenge. Every time we add a new feature, especially the OpenAI actions, there are a lot more bells and whistles. So there's a reason why we try not to add every single feature that people want necessarily, because we kind of have to draw a line. We have to decide what's important, and without keeping it minimal, Frontly is going to start to feel like Bubble or something that's really complicated and overwhelming. And so our goal, our mission is to keep things streamlined and be basically the fastest app builder for building business software that is still really easy to use and still pretty powerful. So that's our vision, and we listen to our users. We get a lot of feedback, and we iterate over time based on what we see is really important to our user base. So we always appreciate feedback. We do have a roadmap.frontly.ai feature requests app as well. So you can add, I'll paste that in here as well. You can go and you can add your requests on the user requests tab. So that's a good way to log requests for features that we don't have yet. Then it doesn't get lost in a giant conversation thread like this that we're never going to look at again. So yeah, I think we're pretty much good here. I don't think we want to keep anyone from their days any longer. Thanks to everyone for being a part of this. This has been
thanks so much, everybody. Keep the conversation going over on Discord. If you have more questions, you want to chat with us more, just jump into the Discord, chat with us there. We're always around. And we love interacting with you guys and seeing what you're building. So thanks so much again for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you so
everyone.
much, everybody. Have a great day.